Howdy. Hello. We're here. We are ready to begin the show. Things are moving apace. Hi. Lots of people in the YouTube chat today. Strem. Yes, hello, Lord Byron. Hello, Kitty Tick. Hello, everybody. It seems like everybody's kind of feeling gross today. Someone's feeling sick right now. Someone's been up since 3 this morning. Hello, hello. Yeah, my back hurts so badly, and it's been hurting pretty badly. Um, and I'm trying, like, I was like, oh, I should keep using it because generally, if your back hurts, then it'll just get really stiff if you stop moving. Um, but man, it hurts so bad. I might have to actually get in touch with my doctor this week and be like, hey, bro, can you help me figure out what the hell is wrong with me? Which is saying something because I am accustomed to a great deal of just random pain. Um, but yeah. Yes, we've been keeping tabs on the H5N1 avian flu outbreak. It's increasingly widespread. It seems like it's just kind of getting further and further out there. And like more mammals are being affected by it, like cats are catching it. Um yeah, so the more it spreads to other species, like the worse that is for us. Oh, that's a bummer. My scenes in Vegas got canceled, so now I'm missing a massive chunk of income this month. Plus, I'm already out here with nothing to do till my flight home tomorrow. That is tricky. Absolutely. Fleeing Tennessee in 4 days. I bid good luck to you. So yeah, I am. I am indeed having a rough day, and I didn't have like a really clear idea of what we were going to be talking about today. The news seems to have kind of slowed down, at least on my Twitter. So I was like, oh, I'm taking a little bit of effort trying to find something to talk about here. Mm. So we might have a like shorter stream where we kind of just chill a little bit, since, man, I am just in pain. I did take an ibuprofen right before stream started, so I'm hoping that does something for me. Kansas is being talked about as far as here in Finland. Wow. Yeah, we keep doing crazy censorship stuff, and they're trying to pass another law restricting youth access to trans healthcare, and yeah, it's not a good time. There is a cat hair in my drink. Welcome in, Arachnoid. Drinking water, hoping for my sicky feelings to go away. Yes, I'm drinking water. I've got some milk so that I could. I drank some milk so that I could take the ibuprofen and it would not upset my tummy. Hopefully, jacked your oil hair care you talked about a few streams ago. Nice. That newspaper that got police raided. That was a while ago. Um, Now they're trying to pass some law regarding like requiring you to put your ID in the computer when you want to access like adult content, but along with adult content, they included LGBTQ content just generally. So, yeah, giving in to the feline overlords. So far, I've only heard of 2 human cases. Yeah, 2 human cases of bird flu, but the more it travels to other mammals, like, and then, like, the more often it infects us, then the more likely we're gonna have a situation where it's like, now can evolve to, like, pass from human to human, and that's where the problems really come in. Yeah, LGBTQ people come from the mud, fully formed as adults like Urukai. two ibuprofen and two Tylenol, anti-inflammatory and pain reliever. Yeah, I took ibuprofen. Um, I don't usually like to take Tylenol, and I'm trying to keep it like, okay, I didn't eat earlier, so I'm just like, okay, just some milk, some ibuprofen. Maybe this evening, if it's not doing anything, I'll take some Tylenol. And I've got my a little heat pad on my back right now, so I'm hoping that that'll kind of help some. But yeah, it hurts. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. The red buds are in bloom, yes, which means that it's just about morel hunting season. Yes, it's a heck of a time. It's a heck of a day. I think this week is going to be one of the first weeks that it's just going to be kind of nice and warm the whole week where I live. It keeps fluctuating wildly back and forth here in Kansas. Like, I'm sure Kansas, Missouri, all of us have this weird back and forth thing. Oh, the suckiest part of my scenes being canceled is that I'm missing the eclipse. Oh no. We decided not to go this year because there are so many people who are curious and interested in, like, it was kind of a new thing when the 2017 eclipse happened. Like, it hadn't happened in such a long time that people were like, "Oh, this is kind of hype." But then now, we know more about it. More people know more about it, and so there are like tons of people going. Like, Airbnbs completely sold out in that strip. Um, I saw a little Hank Green TikTok where he was saying that there were a lot of car accidents around the previous eclipse, and it's not because there's anything like, you know, supernatural or whatever. It's just that a lot of people were driving, and people were driving distracted, basically. So, um, yeah, it'll still, it's still, you can see the partial eclipse across a lot of the US, and, yeah, it's pretty cool, but not gonna be a thing for me, totality at least. So I'll see the partial, but not totality. There are some people out there thinking the eclipse means the rapture. I did see posts about that, and people were like, "You should go ahead and it would be funny if a lot of us like put some clothes outside and then just like didn't go anywhere that day to kind of make it seem like there was a rapture." What's up, Agnes? I kind of did consider, like, I could take some of my clothes and put them in my car as though I got raptured while I was like about to drive away or something. What's up, Venusian? Hello. Just gonna turn up this heat pad on my back here. So it's gonna be a night. It's a huge cultural event. These solar eclipses. I mean, they technically speaking, solar eclipses happen all the time, but it's that like they happen often over like the ocean, like the line of totality and stuff is over the ocean. So when it happens over our specific country and our specific area, it feels like you know, a pretty big event. I'm just gonna bring this closer to my face because I feel like I'm being real quiet. Yeah, people are blaming lots of current disasters on the eclipse. Yeah, there was an earthquake where in like New York, right? New York, East Coast, something like that. Seeing a total solar eclipse while out at sea sounds scary AF. I mean, I think if you didn't have context for it, it's pretty much scary anytime. What's up, Donu Umayo? Whoa! I unfortunately never get to see eclipses or many other events. Yeah, because of the cloudiness, it's supposed to be cloudy and rainy over some parts of the eclipse area, I think. Of course, I'm not like, I don't care. I'm not going to go see it, so I haven't checked, but I heard people complaining about it. Yeah, like there are partial eclipses. It's like the total solar eclipse is unique, and then like where is that happening exactly? I saw someone on Twitter saying the apocalypse is coming. Lightning just struck the Statue of Liberty. Like, wow, a tall structure made of copper got struck by lightning. Truly the end of times. Yeah, exactly. Hey, thank you for the gifted tier 1 sub from Agnes. First time here. Get some dicks, indeed. Enjoy the secret emojis. Oh, shit. I need to reopen that tab. Okay. Whoop. $5 dono. Excellent. Pickles are yummy and tasty, that's true. I cannot disagree with you on that. I'm actually going to be on a plane when it happens, though I will be in the partial eclipse territory. I hope it does something cool and that I get a window seat. In a few years, I can go see the one in Australia. Yeah, if you're rich and famous, in a few years, just go over to Australia. No worries. People are also saying it's the end times because of Trans Day of Visibility on Easter. They're completely hysterical right now. There's so many things to be really worried about. Like there's so many things to actually that are actually a problem in the world. Can you imagine like being so out of touch with the how really messed up things are that you have to invent a bunch of things to be upset about? Hello, Gayfish. I'm trying to figure out how do you tell the difference between like a problem with your muscles and ligaments versus like a problem with your spine? That's the kind of day that I'm having. There's also tons of things to be hopeful about. Listen, it's hard to look at like a fresh like seedlings in your garden and not feel somewhat hopeful, you know? I've had leg pain since I was young. Yeah. I have pain all over. So it's normally I'm like, okay, I just kind of ignore it and I keep moving on with my life. But man, I'm like, even just like moving around in my chair, my lower back is like, please stop moving. No, I do not have a tummy ache. At least not at the current moment. Currently, I just have crazy intense leg pain. I think after I get done here, I'm gonna probably text my doctor and be like, hey bro, do you have time to like call me? There have been psychological studies on people who believe conspiracy theories. What kind of findings do they have about the psychology of people who believe in conspiracy theories? Jason Jones says, I heard that the best chance to see the eclipse will be in Maine on account of the weather. As such, I now believe Stephen King is powering up to blast J.K. Rowling. Just gonna focus the beam. Kitty Tick, thank you. Getting my color back for 3 months. Thank you. I will add 48 to my tracker. OMG. I think I should actually change this so that it doesn't say flex, because I am not going to try to do that today. I am baby. I'm gonna be very gentle to myself. See, the heat feels really good on my back, like the little heat pad that I have going on. I just don't know if it's actually helping. Waking up with cramping legs today. Oh, that when your calves cramp. Oh my god, I hate that. But it made me think of that BoJack Horseman bit. Physical pain is so much worse than emotional pain. Sartre was a hack. Oh man, yeah. And like I feel like normally when I have various pains, like it is just fairly easy for me to kind of move on and ignore it. And boy, it is not. It's not ignorable today. Sometimes I do feel like whoa, I'm like feel a little sick. People who are inclined to believe in conspiracy theories are also generally less logical and less inclined to critical thinking. They tend to have an external locus of control. They feel threatened by unusual events, etc. Did you hurt yourself at the gym? No, I haven't been lifting actually. I mean, I've only been doing cardio for a while now, so I don't know what happened. I'm like, this can't be all downstream effects of just having gotten a pillow recently that's different, right? Like, maybe. It's just like my jaw has been hurting a bunch and then all the way down. No, there's nothing specific for this particular back pain. Like, I have low back pain that kind of comes and goes. And this time it's just like really not going away. I have become old. It's true. I turned 30 and I immediately have like actually quite painful back pain. The pillow is sabotaging my life, true. I've had 7 different hip and spine x rays, and my doctor has concluded I have serious musculoskeletal issues, not cart or misalignment of my spine. I did injure one tendon in my hip when I was 16, and this plus a few other things that have happened in my life. Yeah. So I'm basically like gonna chat with my doctor probably and be like, yo, do you think that imaging is appropriate? Like, do you think that I should just at least check and make sure that I don't have like a slipped disc? Um, but like as I've been moving around today, I've noticed that all through my low back, you know, when you just kind of crackle and pop in your joints, it's like that's happening all through the lower half of my back today. So it's like, am I just like is it like an estrogen thing? Are my like connective tissues all loosey goosey and it hurts more? So here's another thing that I've been thinking. First of all, you should hit the like button because we're basically going to be mostly chilling. The politics may come in and out. I don't have any specific plans though, but hit the like button. Um, I one of my suspicions is that so I did actually injure myself doing a deadlift, but it was like in 2017, right? And it hurt on the right side for a long time. And then gradually like it started to hurt more on the left side just over the years. Like it doesn't hurt on the right side at all. And because it really, really hurt and I didn't know anything about anything, I just have kind of I've avoided doing deadlifts. And then like gradually that also means that I've been more and more avoiding squats because squats kind of cause it to become irritated as well. And I've been like working on my abs more and like mostly moving from my legs. And so I think that a good like theory that I have right now is that I have a super weak posterior chain. Um and that like I just I need to be muscularly strong so that I can hold my joints together. Something that I've discovered. Like I was experimenting with this recently and I'm not going to really like try to mimic it right now, but I like leaned forward and I was letting my arms hang loose in my shoulder sockets cuz most of the time I'm doing this and I don't mean to and then I try to relax and then they kind of creep back up and then I try to relax and they creep back up, right? And I I was like letting them hang loose and I like kind of leaned to one side and kind of like shook my arm a little bit just to let the weight kind of whatever and it pulls like it pulls on my joints and I don't know if that's normal. Like could a normal person just kind of fling their arms around a little bit with relaxed muscles in their shoulders and like is that normal? for me to feel like my arms, like, it's discomfort with the socket. I'm like, it doesn't feel good. Like, so I'm realizing that I kind of am holding my body together with my muscles all the time, but that obviously creates a lot of tension as well. But, so if I'm having some looseness in my spine, I don't have the muscles to hold my back together. So, um, I'm gonna kind of try to figure out what the deal is. Maybe, yeah, talk to my doctor before I start like a serious PT regimen. Unfortunately, most of the time, the only thing they can do is physical therapy. Yeah, like, I'm not trying to get like surgery on my back. Um, you could have an infection that snuck up on you. I once thought I injured my back, but it was a kidney infection. I mean, surely you would have other symptoms, wouldn't you? Have you ever had a chiropractic adjustment? When I was like a teenager, yeah. How long have you had your mattress? I got my mattress in January last year, and it has a pillow top on it as well. But yeah, basically, like, what I'm trying to figure out, Kitty Tick, your reference to physical therapy is like, do I have a problem that I should just start doing certain exercises? I was like, okay, yesterday actually, so maybe that's part of why I hurt so bad. Yesterday I did a bunch of kind of more back focused stretches. Um, and then I was like, okay, I could also do some bird dogs and like planks. John Gitman, thank you for your $5 dono. I appreciate you. So, I have basically a couple of different working theories about what the problem is. That doesn't really stop it hurting, but it does kind of make me feel better. This is what I always do. If I feel like I'm ill or I'm in pain and it's new or something, um, I I tend to like spend a while Googling about it, learning some things. Yeah, stretching is tough. Back pain was the only symptom I noticed. It's like way low in my back. I feel like kidney pain would be further up, wouldn't it? Oh shit, Griffey. I definitely don't have the emotional capacity to be comforting at this time. But holy cow. I am really sorry that so many crazy things are happening. Tennessee is a fucked up place. Let's all agree not to go there. My doctor recommended yoga and light calisthenics because going too hard can aggravate things. Basically, spend a lot of time developing long muscles that are strong. Yeah, it could be your posture when sitting. I know. Like, I know that for sure my posture when sitting is not making it better because I sit on my legs and then I'll sit on one leg and then the other, and then I sit cross-legged, and like I know that my hips are like doing this all the time. Like, and so that probably is not good for my back. So today I'm trying really hard to just sit normal with my feet on the floor, even, and like I have the heat pad on, so it's got like even contact. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of like, so my thing is right now, after having tried to avoid doing back exercises for like 7 years, um, it is definitely tough. Even doing just the yoga and calisthenics versions, like even that I feel is making it quite painful. Adjusting posture a bunch is probably the healthiest way to sit for long periods. Yeah, and I mean, sitting in any position is like, it weakens your posterior chain. So I'm also like, oh, I wonder if I should just make an effort to stand more. I mean, I guess I do spend a lot of my free time sitting, and I could, because like I work, and I sit here and I'm working, but I also like do dishes and I cook dinner every night, like Not every night, but like, you know what I mean? I cook dinner most nights. So I am up and around. But yeah, if I'm like I had pain in my lower back and side, had an infection in my kidney. I mean, yeah, okay, so those are the I'm going to ask my doctor, "Hey, how would I know if I had an infection?" Can you maybe give me a little quick blood test to make sure I don't have an infection? Hello, Gayfesh. Welcome to present day. I went ahead and made my desk and monitor setup standing friendly for when I play games. That's been good for me. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have a standing desk, like a combination standing sitting desk. It's tough, you know, because they cost money. The human back really is a fluke of evolution. It barely holds itself upright and breaks down once you hit your 30s. Yeah, yeah. Back exercises are easily one of the hardest parts of my workout. I do reclined sit ups, Roman chair, and planks for my lower back, and it's never happy about it. Some of the recommended exercises that I've seen for if you have a weak low back, it's like bird dogs and glute bridges. Um, those can be really good, and planks, but like mostly just regular planks, because those work your front and your back at the same time. What I did was make a wooden platform to prop the monitors on, so it's not a full standing desk setup, but it's fine if I'm using a controller. Yeah, fair enough. Just like stand there with your controller. Would you do a standing stream? I'm how? I'm gonna be way off camera. Gonna have to adjust everything, and then you're gonna be pointed toward the ceiling and everything. It would be weird. Getting a husky. Oh my god. Good luck with a husky. They scream. This like they just go like ah, like they just scream. Walking in the woods helps my back too. Yeah, walking. I don't do a lot of walking, and like to be fair, like when I've been exercising, I've been doing the reclined bike for the most part, and that doesn't really work your back at all. So Lux looking down on stream while camera is looking up. Sure, sure. That sounds like the best stream ever. I'm sure it is. Yeah, huskies require a ton of exercise. Oh, if I got a standing desk, sure. I could potentially do standing streams. MTB biking? I don't know what that means. It's a hard knock life. Oh, mountain biking. Oh, sure, yeah. I I have not been I've just been doing stationary bike. Like I'm not out there biking in the world, you know what I mean? So I'm on the stationary bike, and even within stationary bikes, like there's the ones where you lean forward, and then there's the ones where you kind of just sit like a normal chair and your legs are kind of more out in front of you. That one is better for my heart condition. So, I've been weirdly into mountain biking videos lately. It's so cool. I have spent the last day or two watching a bunch of videos from a channel called the Townsends, or just Townsends, maybe. It's like they do a lot of 18th century cooking videos. That's a big part of it. And then they also do like How would people have done such and such in the 1800s, like the 18th and 19th century? Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You learn a lot of good stuff. Yeah, my partner was like, "Why don't you watch these videos more often? They're right up your alley." And I was like, "You are correct, sir." Started watching some of them. Exactly up my alley. Oh, are you getting two huskies or just one husky? Okay, yeah, you have a dog currently who's anxious and sad when she has to be alone at the property, so she needs a full-time friend. Okay, cool. Okay, you got one husky because the big dog needs a buddy. That makes sense. Did you see their video on a fried chicken recipe from back then? I was listening to it while I was doing the dishes earlier. I wasn't I didn't watch it, but I was listening. Problem with huskies is that they wander. Yeah. It's pretty good stuff. Just I realized as well while I was watching Townsend's. Oh my god, I have to reach all the way down there and get that. Okay. I realized watching Townsend's that so much of the content that I watch is cooking related. Like so much of it. Um like I watch I've got like Mythical Kitchen. Even when I'm watching Good Mythical Morning, so many of their episodes are about food. And then I start watching the Townsends and it's like 18th century cooking or whatever. Most of our animals are named after Norse gods. Nice. The Mennonites and Amish. Yeah, Mennonites and Amish know a lot of stuff, and like forest rangers know a lot about foraging and stuff like that. Like the video that my partner originally recommended was like, oh, they just posted a video about how spring is actually the hardest time of the year to survive in food wise, because all your stores through the winter are mostly dried up, and then there's like not food yet growing out there in the world. So yeah, like what can you forage in the early spring to survive? And it was a pretty interesting video. Mushrooms are important that time of the year. And like dandelion and henbit, like, other early spring vegetation. Those onions, like the field garlic onions. I don't even know if those were ones that he mentioned or if those are ones that I just know about. Okay, I realize this is a little bit early in the show, but I have been drinking so much water and coffee and stuff, so I'm just gonna run to the bathroom real quick. And I'll leave you with the bugs. But I'll be back momentarily. Bugs. Okay, hello, I'm back. I returned. Oh gosh. I didn't know dandelion leaves could be eaten as a salad or cooked until I came across this channel on YouTube. An American grandma. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Dandelion's great. I looked up some of the health effects that it can have, and it actually, there's like nothing that's been rigorously scientifically studied, but there are a number of different potential health effects that it's had in certain, in like other animals during laboratory conditions and stuff. I like the channel decor. Thank you, Rot Guts. Used to be really into survival stuff, and I want to get back to camping again. I don't really have any desire to camp in the sense that, like, I don't really want to be outside and, like, sleeping outside, especially. Dandelion is used in pre-mixed spring salads. I don't actually know. Like, one that you would buy at the store? I don't actually know. I would assume not, because I mean, at least in my culture, dandelion is used, or I mean, it's viewed as a weed, and it's like most people wouldn't want to eat it. But yeah, I mean, I like being outdoors. I don't really want to be out there all the time, and I also don't want to sleep in a tent. Because, yeah, speaking of back problems, holy shit. Yeah, and I agree, Ramya. Like, it's amazing that a plant that grows everywhere, like a weed, it has like medicinal value and health value. Yeah, they're super nutritious. They're mildly diuretic, so they make you pee, which can reduce your bloating, but it can also reduce your blood pressure, which I don't need it to do that. I would prefer it not to do that. It can interfere with lithium. It can worsen some of the side effects of lithium. I double checked that. I have not tasted dandelion yet, sadly. It is fairly bitter, apparently. Like, if you just eat the greens. I'm not on lithium because my doctor says I should get my kidney function in order before we consider it. Yeah, fair enough. An eclipse happening in America, therefore, was naturally foretold in the Bible. A bunch of people who did not know that America existed. Ugh. The capitalist mindset that a ubiquitous plant that everybody could use and enjoy seems plebeian. Yeah, I really don't know. It's super strange to me, having recently learned that dandelion was, oh yeah, we need to be careful. Yeah, you have to be careful harvesting anything in the US because of the pesticides and fertilizer everywhere. So that might be part of why we don't eat them anymore. But it's like, why culturally did they shift from being an important, like, staple of any regular person's diet to like something that we do not eat at all, basically? Have to have something with scarcity in order to have the status. Okay, I'm just gonna. Hey, look at this jacket. It's a hoodie that you can buy. I'm just gonna take that off because it's warm. Oh my god. Caught on the wings. Dandelions are commie propaganda. I cannot talk today. Yeah, as people moved into cities, they had lawns, and the non-agricultural, non-industrial agriculture mattered less and less. I mean, I think that people were really encouraged to switch to a consumer lifestyle where they're buying everything instead of, like, you know, I mean, obviously, it is bad for the grocery store if you're getting a good chunk of your food from growing it yourself or from foraging it yourself. Can't have no free universal food. How dare you? Probably tied to the lawn industry, which kicked off over 100 years ago. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that that is part of it. Like that there's so much incentive to spend money in a certain way. And like of course, lawn industry people want you to do like they want you to grow grass and they want you to put a bunch of resources toward that. Yeah, if people were the climate justice thing and capitalism, it's like they're just opposed to each other fundamentally, I think, because you use weed killer to kill the dandelions and that has like a negative effect on the climate, like just one of many things. Climate change in coffee? Ooh, what's going on with coffee? There are whole species we no longer drink, but we may have to return to because the existing monoculture is not doing so well. If you don't pay for it, you are bad. I say no to arugula. I don't think I've had arugula, but it's very nutritious apparently. Doesn't climate change directly impact the flavor of coffee and chocolate? I mean, I don't know specifically how, but I would not be surprised to learn that that is the case. I would rather never I would rather never have nutrition than put that foul leaf in my mouth again, not gonna lie. I mean, to each their own, man. Maybe I'll eat arugula someday and decide that it's the worst tasting thing I've ever had. Climate change is affecting cacao beans. Oh good. In what way? Arugula? Yeah, that's a chatter in YouTube is talking about arugula. Baphomet says that arugula is delicious. Well, there's a contention now. Throw down. It's time to fight. Ugh. Capitalism in its current form is absolutely toxic in the same way socialism was broken down by Germany and China. It is possible to have currency and open markets without involving incentivized, without allowing incentivized carelessness. The company 3M is a great example. They produced a toxic fire suppression system and sold it knowingly for 40 years. Oh, that sucks. I thought that they were like a trusted brand because I buy almost exclusively 3M brand masks. No. Eric says Baphomet is an industry plant from Big Arugula. Apparently, 3M is currently under 3 military class action suits. Damn. Okay. How many herbicides and pesticides are used for ornamental versus food agriculture? I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I would assume that there just is more food agriculture. So I would assume that they're just by raw numbers, there's going to be more of it, like more fertilizer related to food production than. But we do have big farms where we grow a shit ton of tulips and stuff. So I don't know, maybe. Yawn. Boy, I'm tired. I'm edging my way to vegetarianism, but I don't think I can completely do it because anemia. I don't have any particular urge to do vegetarianism. I feel like it's hard enough to get something that everybody likes, and like navigating that would just be so much harder if you were like, oh, we also don't eat meat ever. I appreciate you all chilling for this stream, by the way. I know that the title is, I guess, a little bit clickbaity, but it's literally, I don't know what we're doing today because I didn't have like a solid plan for the stream. Unironically, the reason I decided to stop eating meat is that I'm a bunny and bunnies don't eat meat, you know? Staying true to character. The military issued earplugs from 3M did not meet specifications. It's one of the things they're being sued for. Is there a different trusted brand that I can get N95s from? Oh man. Just realized my horse Sona should be vegan realistically. Oh gosh. What other cool stuff is going on right now? We talked about the eclipse a little bit. Like, I feel like I really have to go digging to find good news. I just don't automatically think of good things. The Vorpal Rabbit King only kills in self-defense. Okay. Is it true that a recent earthquake made the Statue of Liberty shake too? Well, so I heard that there was an earthquake in New York, so it would stand to reason that the Statue of Liberty would have shaken a little bit. But I don't know. Like, I've seen some TikToks of people catching the recording of the earthquake by accident, but I don't know sort of what the widespread whatever of it was, you know? This particular earthquake was. Oh, I'm so sorry. It was really close to the surface. It happened like 600 feet down instead of miles like usually. Okay. So it was just like way more noticeable than most of the time. What's up, Malena? Hello. Weak earthquake. Just had some extra movement. Okay. The epicenter was in New Jersey, literally on a Trump golf course. I know, Malena. It's a travesty, you having a white name. There was a women's basketball coach from South Carolina speaking positively about trans women in the sport. I did not see that. That's really exciting, though. I'm really glad that more cisgender women are speaking out. Because this is the thing, like, I keep telling people this, like, you don't have data to back up class-wide discrimination. Like, I keep trying to point out to people, this is, again, this is one of the painful things about coming from, like, a skeptic background in, like, that serves as, like, the foundation. Thank you, Milena. Never. Um, the skepticism concept serves as, like, the foundation of me, like, approaching all these issues. So when we're talking about trans women in sports, there isn't evidence that they're winning all the time. There also isn't evidence that men are entering those competitions just so they can supplant women. Like, it's quite literally, it's just based on, it's like a common sense fallacy or something like that. Like an appeal to, oh, well, there's such an obvious difference. Like, I don't even need to explain because it's just so obvious that men are bigger than women. And it's like, okay, fucking fine. I will grant you that men are bigger than women. What does that have to do with trans women? It's all about this like fundamental inability to understand that trans women like do undergo like a transformative change of sex on a body wide basis. Like if you're upset that some women are taller than other women, then put in height classes. You don't need to do this whole like literally sex like discrimination effectively. If people just asked like 2 or 3 more questions before forming their take against trans people in sports, this would simply not be an issue. Like the most minute amount of intellectual curiosity would be warranted. Did that bring us up to $98? Cool. I'm not making any promises to flex today. I can try. I can't help but wonder how many trans men beat the cis men in sports. It does happen sometimes. I don't know that there are as many. I'm sure that there are probably as many trans men in the sports. Um, but like testosterone is a controlled substance, so I don't actually know. I think that trans men might be inadvertently barred from participation because they're juicing. I'm not totally sure. 3 months of tier 4 is 96. Okay, holy cow. So that was okay. You know what? I'm just gonna say that we hit the number. Look at that. We hit the number. Thank you. Sorry, I'm really out of it. My back hurts so badly, and I'm trying to just remain still. Um, but yes, there's a flex. I'm not moving any further than that. There we go. There's a trans man professional martial arts fighter who's doing very well these days. I might have his memoir. Um, I do have a memoir from a trans man who's like a boxer or something like that. Not very many red names in chat. The same transphobes don't even actually bother watching the sports tournaments that have, well, I mean, they're not even watching cis women's sports, period. Regardless, like not even withstanding watching sports where cis women and trans women are participating against each other. It reminds me a lot of the white supremacist fear that black men would target white women. I mean, and they use a lot of the same kind of justification. And I've pointed this out recently that like, um, now it's $101 Dalmatians. Thank you, Milena. Thank you, thank you. And enjoy that Agamotto, that tier 1 sub. So when people are talking about the issues of, you know, trans women participating in sports and in bathrooms, we sometimes allude, when we're talking about the bathroom and locker room issue, we sometimes allude to sort of gay panic, where people would say, oh, you know, if you have a masculine woman teaching the PE class, the parents will make comments about her and how she shouldn't be in the girls' locker room because she's ogling them. Like, but if you look back even further, that was part of the justification for segregating black people from public spaces, like black men in particular. You know, black, like hypersexualized images, like the idea that black men were pursuing white women, the idea that black women were too alluring and they were too much of a temptation. Therefore, we need to do things like legislate black women so that they have to cover up their hair and all these things. And then also with the physical attributes thing, like I haven't researched this basically in a long time, but I think that it is probably fair to say that segregation in sports was partially justified because there is a pretty deep cultural belief that black people are superior physically, like especially black men. And like it kind of makes sense, like when you like if a class of people subjugates another class of people and they make that class of people do a lot of physical labor and they also have control somewhat over the breeding of these people, like who they have babies with, like where the babies get put to work and everything, like, and then the dominant group ends up with this mindset that the non-dominant group is, oh, you know, they're just inherently better physically. and like that makes the competition unfair, or that makes them dangerous to be around because they could be predatory and like they have the overwhelming power to whatever. Tarpalicious, thank you. Welcome to the website. My wife said she loves your hair. Awesome. I don't know what's wrong with it today. It's doing weird stuff, but I appreciate that it's getting shinier. The textures are just all weird right now. People tried to kick black players out of sports all the time if they had any level of talent by saying it was just biologically unfair, even in the North. Yeah, so when we are dealing with these arguments, like, they're all feels over reals arguments. They're all, just look at them. Just look at how much more muscular they are. Just look at how much taller they are. It's self-evident by just looking at them. It's like, it would be as though someone were telling you, and people say this, so it's not far-fetched, but like, just believe the evidence of your eyes. You can see that the horizon is flat. Like, okay, well, but there's like a lot of assumptions going into that. Or if you look at two people and you assume that one is stronger than the other because you can visibly see more muscle, like the guy who's dehydrating his body so that you can, and doing a cut so that you can really see his definition, he's probably not as physically strong as the guy who is really bulky and muscular and almost looks fat because he's got a healthy layer of fat over top of his muscles, you know? There's common sense. You cannot appeal to common sense when it comes to trying to factually advocate for the removal of a group. And I've tried to specify even like, I've tried to like hone my argument a little bit. Like with the trans women in sports thing, what you would need in order to justify separating trans women out into a different class is you would need overwhelming evidence of foul play specifically. Because if certain women are advantaged because they're taller, you don't segregate out tall women for being tall. Like, were you testing all of these girls' testosterone levels during puberty? Are you positive that one of your cis female athletes doesn't have polycystic ovarian syndrome and therefore has the same bone density advantage that transgender women allegedly have? Man, even coughing like hurts my back. Yeah, bodybuilders versus martial artists. Vanity muscles versus I can actually put you on the floor. Yeah, I am agreeing, Arachnoid. I'm at a place now where I don't really think that gender should be segregated by sex. Are you sick? My back really hurts. I'm only I just coughed a little bit for a second because I tried to breathe my saliva, but my back hurts like a bitch. So I do feel like under the weather, but not because of physical illness in that regard. Just the ravages of time, or like an injury that I had years ago, or a slipped disc, or a kidney infection. I don't know what the hell the issue is. I'm gonna call my doctor later today. Yeah, this trans woman transitioned in order to gain a slight advantage in volleyball, reports an idiot. Yeah, like honestly, yeah, I like literally I turned 30 and my back immediately betrayed me. Honestly, it might just be that I was like, I've decided to start really using the muscles in my lower back more instead of avoiding it, and so that might just be why it hurts so fucking bad. Just wait till you hit your 50s, you'll love it. I'm hoping to continue increasing my my flexibility and muscles for the next 20 years. Like, my 20s, I did not do a good job of taking care of my body, but like, I've started caring a lot more the last couple years, so I'm hoping that by the time I'm 50, I'm actually in better shape than I am right now. Your back could also hurt if you didn't get enough sleep or slept wrong too. Yeah, I definitely didn't get as much sleep as I would like. The archery practice would hurt my upper back, but I don't think it would hurt my low back. Because where I'm hurting is way down in the lumbar. and like even below that into the glutes. So, yeah. Mersh says that they're in their 50s and feeling fine. Heard that you start really feeling it in your mid 60s. But yeah, so and my bow is only a 20-pound bow. So I'm really, with a 20-pound bow, you're pushing 10 pounds this way and you're pulling 10 pounds this way. And it doesn't hurt. Like I can shoot my bow for literally hours, and it the only thing that starts to bother me after that amount of time is that I can really feel the twang, like the reverberations. So I really need to get some dampers for my bow. I'm just like, I don't want to just buy regular dampers. Maybe if I buy dampers, I want to put something on them that will increase their dampening effect and will make it look cool. Because I don't want my bow to look like, oh, I've just purchased a bunch of plastic shit to stick on it. Like, yes, it will be a hybrid bow, but I want it to kind of look cooler. Archery uses your whole core. Yeah. And like I said earlier, like I've spent like 7 years not working my back because of a previous injury. I thought that I was gonna make it worse, but in fact, maybe not working it made it significantly worse. So, and I did start working the front of my body more. So now I might be imbalanced that way, where my front is strong, but my back is not. Archery is sick AF. It was, so I've done little bits of archery here and there throughout my lifespan, but, my partner got me a bow for my birthday last month, and it was easily one of the coolest fucking things I've ever received as a gift. So, yeah, I have a recurve bow, and, you know, it's been a little, yeah, it's a recurve. It's, it has limbs that come off. So it has like the solid wood piece in the middle that's like this big. And then the limbs screw on, which is cool because that means also that my bow can be upgraded, like without having to buy a whole new one. Like I could just get new limbs that are of a different weight. And yeah, it's nice to transport. It takes longer to set up your bow and break it down, obviously, but it's really cool. Do you have the glove? I don't have a glove. What I have is more like a pad of like really fairly thick leather that goes on the front of these fingers. Like it has a little ring thing. You slide your finger through the ring thing, and then it's just a thick ass pad with certain cuts in it so that you can put the arrow in between your fingers still. Yeah. So apparently you can get like nerve damage in your bow hand, like not the bow hand, the your stringing hand, because if you just have this like really taut heavy string against your fingers all the time, it can like literally give you like nerve damage and pain. So la, 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 la. You can make your own dampeners with yarn. I have considered doing that. I have, because I could like make something crochet to go around the limbs and then like hot glue it down so that even when I take the limbs off, like it'll stay in place. I'm still working on it. I'm still thinking about it. I don't want to use a release. I have the pad for my fingers and it works just fine. I wonder if that happens to guitarists. It's a different thing. It's like, so pressing down on your fingertips is a different thing than having like 30 pounds on, like literally like 30 pounds of weight on a thin little thing like this on your fingers hundreds of times for years. Like, that's what does it. That's what does it. Do you have the arm guard? I do have an arm guard. It's kind of shitty, though, and I really am hoping to just get good and not need it anymore, you know? Like, I'm planning on just, like, trying to make sure I have good enough bend in this arm that I'm not smacking my arm. I very rarely smack my arm anyway, but because I do it often enough, I still wear the arm guard. But you don't need it if you have a really cool, oh my god, my brain. Ooh, the Ritalin's wearing off, that's why. Are you telling me Legolas probably has nerve damage in his fingers? Probably. I know even the professionals wear them, I know. I know. I'm such a I'm such a, like, an elitist about certain things. I didn't know you crochet. That's sick as fuck. My wife is obsessed with the fiber arts. She got a loom for 150 bucks. Nice. Yeah. My mother-in-law got me a sewing machine for my birthday, and I don't really have any particular plans for it right now, but I am excited that I get to use it. I could adjust my clothes, I could fix clothes. That would be awesome. My main deal, my main hobby, honestly, is crochet. Now I'm going to show you something, and it's sad, actually. So I'm making this mandala, and the sad thing is that I've screwed something up in the first row of these petals. Um, so I have to frog all of this back to here. That's so much work that I did. I know, it's bigger. This is an entire skein of yarn. Like, this is a whole one skein of yarn. Yeah, it's enormous, but I have to frog it for like 7 or 8 rows, and it's painful. I've already frogged it multiple times, so... You look like a winter table. I don't even like yellow, and it's great. Yeah, I like yellow more than I used to, but it's like a literal representation of the sun, so... I got the yarn first and then the idea for the mandala. I know, yeah, it's brutal. Like, listen. Especially since I'm like, oh, I should probably start trying to spend less of my free time sitting down. Like, where am I going to do crochet if I'm not sitting down? I'm trying to get my sister to knit me a full-body ninja suit from blue or yellow yarn. I have not seen Lars Anderson doing archery. I haven't honestly looked up very much archery content. My partner looks up archery content and then tells me things that I should be doing. A treadmill? God. Yeah, just do my crochet on a treadmill. Good old walk and shay. I used to stream crochet, but my particular set of neurodivergencies make me awful at it. I just don't have the camera angles for it. Would you all sit here, like, as I, like, mostly crochet and occasionally glance at chat? Like, I could sit here and hold it up, like... Second camera. Yeah, it would have to be a second camera. I guess I should reclaim the fiber arts. Every time I think of doing crochet on stream, I know that Xena knits and not crochet, but, like, I just think of, like, Poppy and Xena, and that Xena just basically every single time is sat there doing knitting. Get an overhead cam. I'll consider it. I have my throne wish list where you can contribute to me getting a lavalier microphone. So maybe I should add another camera on that list. Yeah, exactly, not the Xena arc. I do like that about Throne, that, like, if you have an expensive item, you can have the option for people to just pitch in $5 to help you get that big item. Good. Yeah, the dragon knits live tonight. I don't knit, though. I can't knit to save my fucking life. I also only have, like, 1 pair of knitting needles, so... I have successfully knit, like, a couple rows, but I don't like it very much. I'm so much more... this is my deal. I'm like, whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, that's fun. The Xena Poppy stuff is actually how I found your channel. That was great coverage of it, because finding out all the particulars of something like that is so difficult if you don't know anyone involved. Yeah, and I understand that a lot of other people who have covered it are not people who you would want to go to for coverage. You're not going to find sensitive coverage from these drama channels. Like, You know, goddamn it, Malcolm. I don't know if he would be considered a drama channel most of the time, but the way that he covered this in particular was kind of definitely more along the lines of like doing drama and, you know, making ableist remarks and maybe jokingly, but still calling polyamory behavior degeneracy. And like, I'm sure that some of these other channels have been making transphobic remarks. Stardust is literally friends with Richard Spencer. Yeah, and Stardust just picked it up. Dramas are very annoying because if you don't catch it at the start, you'll just be fucking lost until it's over and somebody does a deep dive. You're welcome. Let's, you know, that's what I just decided to do. As I did like a post-mortem deep dive. I saw that the Xena Poppy Twitter account was tweeting about how like, oh, we're just not going to acknowledge any of these streamers who've done coverage on us unless they've reached out to us first. And I kind of want to respond to that and be like, so I've seen you lie in public and I've seen you change your story in public. So why would I have given you the opportunity to lie to me in private? Like, if you're lying in public, then you wouldn't have any reason not to lie in private. Like, you've thoroughly discredited yourself. I hate Stardust. I don't understand how she has a following with the personality of wet cardboard. Fair. My hands just don't want to be able to figure out crochet. It's so cool, but confuses my fingers like nothing else. Yeah, I mean, it's got like once you get into your patterns of it, it's like relatively easy, but like I've seen different people hold their hands differently because you have to maintain tension on the string while you're pulling it. Like the correct amount of tension though, which is going to vary based on what material you're working with, and you kind of really have to develop like a sense for what's the appropriate positioning for your hands. And then you get into a habit and it hurts your hands. So Judge, in my defense, the plaintiff didn't ask me before they filed charges. Yamero! Tension is, yeah, it's vibes based. Everything I ever crocheted was made way too hard and tight. Oh. Yes, my stitches used to be much too tight. Jason Jones says, I'm trying to go out my lawn with a hoe right now, building a small tractor for my chickens to take care of the lawn next. Nice. Yeah, we're getting smuggy up in here, up in here. Nobody has hit the like button in a while. I know we're just chilling, but you're sitting here enjoying it, so why don't you hit the like button? I want to try doing tiny crochet with embroidery floss. I have so much embroidery floss that I could use. I haven't done embroidery floss, but I kept my embroidery floss because I could use it to crochet. I do buy, I buy crochet thread, and so I sometimes make small stuff that's like, that's a tiny mushroom. I made my partner a tiny, frog. I made my partner a crochet korok, which I could have made it smaller, but I made it like the size that it was because it's a cute little statue thing. Yeah, the mushrooms are cute. I finally started sewing these two pieces together today, and I got a couple stitches into it before deciding that it was not something I wanted to spend my time doing right then. But yeah, so this is like a mini mushroom pillow that I'm gonna sell at some point. Yeah, crochet is kind of the thing that I do in my free time. It's oh yeah, it's not just enough to be like, you should have asked me first for them even. Like if you have read the documents in private, they'll be like, I'm not talking to you. You should have come to us first. Uh and like I encouraged people when I did my coverage of it. I was like, listen, I encourage you to listen to what they have to say about this. And people are consistently like, wow, I was so disappointed in what they had to say about this. I did the eggs. Yes, I made the eggs. They're both slightly different to each other. I made two different ones. I got a Big Panda Express, so I only had to pay for delivery once for both lunch and dinner. Big brain. I've been considering your. So they're crocheted, they're not knitted. Crocheted mushrooms for a bit. Could you make one made to lift the top and reveal a canister or jar? A cool knitted stash. Like something to go around a lid to then lift the lid? Yeah, follow Mama Mephistopheles for financial advice. Save big money. Get one delivery. That's why I get pizza. Actually, that's part of like Domino's marketing strategy. I've seen sometimes that Domino's will be like, "Oh, order more food and then you'll have lunch tomorrow." Like or so they're like encouraging you to buy a shit ton of food, saying like, "Oh yeah, we'll cover lunch tomorrow too." Oh, the top opens and a jar is in the mushroom stock. Oh, you want like a jar cover with like a removable mushroom top. What's the difference in knitting and crochet? Okay, so here, when you're doing a crochet, oh my god, you have a crochet needle like this. And so you're doing it you're holding this stuff with your left hand and you're like doing it with your right hand. And the way that you do the stitches is different and everything. And so it's all one long continuous piece. When you're knitting, I don't actually have any knitting needles available right this second, so I'm just going to use the ends of some crochet needles. When you're knitting, you're kind of using both of the knitting needles to like tie the knots that you would otherwise just be doing with one hand this way. And then you're kind of working it onto one of the sides. Like you're working it onto this side and then you start working it the other way and the stuff like the fabric gradually moves over here. And then the good thing about it is that it's more efficient. Like you get more square inches out of your yarn and it's faster per square inch to knit. Um, and you can do things like socks way more easily through knit than through crochet, but I just personally was taught how to crochet. And that's what I do. And I prefer it. I like it better. We did a bunch of socks for the local homeless with the sock knitting machines. Yeah, the other cool thing about crochet is that you cannot do it on a machine. You can't. There is such a thing as a knitting machine that you can produce different knitted things on, but you cannot crochet by machine. So if you ever see anything in the store that's like that claims to be hand crocheted, first of all, there's a good chance that it's actually been knitted and not crocheted. But if it is genuinely crocheted, that was probably made by slave labor by hand. Yeah, knitting machines are neat. You can crank out a hat in like 20 minutes. I like that crochet can't be supplanted by a machine. You can't, there is no way to make a machine that's going to compete with me on crochet. Like, this is all crochet, guys. Like, this is all just a bunch of like individual stitches. Like, there are probably, good God, over there's probably like several hundred, if not close to 1,000 stitches in this right now. And like that's all done by hand. You can't replicate any of that. Like the decision making process, all of it. John Henry versus the knitting machine. Capitalism ultimately sees no difference between slave labor and machines. I mean, yeah, like in an economic system like the one that we have, human beings are resources. So, I mean, and it's like slavery. Learning, if you learn a bit more about slavery in South America, conditions were much more brutal for those slaves. Like they were, I guess, those enslaved peoples. They kept bringing in more people to enslave there because they were dying in such large numbers. In America, we we didn't kill off as many of them, and we bred them. So we ended up like not needing to port over as many slaves in like North America. And yeah, it's like one of those things where the people who are in power have no qualms with like just grinding human bodies into meat, metaphorically speaking. Like they just don't have any problem exploiting people because they don't think of us as people, they think of us as machines that output a certain result. What's up, Michaela? First time live, what are we doing? We are chilling. We're talking about whatever because my back hurts like a mother today and I didn't make any plans to talk about any serious news. We still talk about serious stuff sometimes. Yeah, I can agree with that, Ramya. We don't support the claim that capitalism can be morphed into something good, because it's simply repackaged feudalism and slave labor with pretty shiny ribbons. Yeah, there are some significant differences, obviously, between what we today term wage slavery versus like chattel slavery. Obviously, like having your kids taken away from you and like your kids being born into slavery and all that, like, yeah, it obviously is quite horrific. But like, as far as many practical realities, like not having the ability to leave where you live, being subject to exploitative work conditions where you don't have any power to fight back, having to choose which utilities you have each month because you can't keep everything paid all at the same time. Like, much less having any money or freedom to go do anything for fun. If I ever get the chance to go to Dubai, I never will. Horrifying modern dystopia. So many places. So many places have terrible things happening there. Everywhere has terrible things happening there. Like, nowhere in the world are people safe. Yeah, I guess I don't know what specifically happens in Dubai. I did not see the Vice documentary that you saw. Lux, what out of region veg or fruit would you like to be able to grow for yourself in your gardens? I mean, I think the biggest out of region thing is going to be the citrus. So it's important to me to have a greenhouse, because I'm planning to move to like the Pacific Northwest, and so there's not going to be as much sun. It's not going to be warm the whole year round. But I would really love to have like I don't actually know if you can splice citrus trees the same way that you can splice stone fruit trees, but I think it would be really cool to have like a lemon tree that's had lime and orange grafted onto it. That could be really cool. And I don't have any other specific ideas for particular out of region fruit or veg, but I'm going to have a greenhouse, hypothetically. So anything that I wanted to grow out of season or anything, I could do that. I guess ginger is another one that it is a little bit more tropical. I know this is off topic, but I find it so nice and affirming seeing a streamer that uses it. It's wow. Happy to be here for representation purposes. It bugs me so much when people don't pick up on that. Like, I realize that I'm doing the non-binary thing where I'm like not really trying to look trans that much, and so people are like, "Oh my god, it's this girl," and I'm like, "No, I use it as pronouns. Thank you." The navel orange is a product of splicing. Nice. The abuse of common sense. Thank you, Yoga Dad. I might not watch this right this moment, but oh yeah, it's 44 minutes long. The fascism of common sense. Ooh. Ooh, that looks like a fun video. I might actually watch that later. Sometimes I pull up a link and I'm like, I don't want to watch that. But that one I might actually watch later. Yeah, it's always really cool to see fellow idiots people. Yes. There are some wild ginger species that grow well in North America or are not true ginger, but native similar plants. Okay, cool. I have no green fingers at all. I tried keeping potted plants. They all died, every last one of them. I am envious and admire those who have green fingers. I mean, I, I just feel like I learned stuff. I don't really feel like there's a trick to it. Like my tomatoes are like some of my tomato plants are like 9 inches tall right now. Um, and they're doing amazing. And sometimes people are like, "Oh wow, you have a green thumb," and I'm like, I, I just, I just got like a good light bulb, you know? Like potted plants indoors are so difficult because a lot of plants require way more sun than you think. True, Tarpalicious, me too. I think I'm druid coded because stuff I grow just works. Now I have messed things up and like the plants that I have in the house right now, I have like 30 odd plants, and they're plants that can tolerate their soil staying dry for a while because I just forget to water them for like a month at a time. So, yeah, I'm not like great at it. It's just like I know enough to keep things going. And like I bought good seeds and I used the seedling mix that came with them. Druid is best class in D&D. I am going to be playing a D&D campaign soon that's like based in Stardew Valley. The location is Stardew Valley, and I'm planning on playing a Circle of Spores druid. So that's not really official part of the base game, I don't think, but he's going to be an absolute freak, and I'm very excited to be him. Yeah, no, I know that you can do that with stone fruits. Peaches, plums, apricot, you can graft those onto one tree and they'll grow. So it's cool that you can do it with citrus as well. Circle of Spores is base now. Listen, I'm so ready. I'm so ready. I want to play D&D online so bad, but time zones suck. We have a group of like 8 or 9 people, which I think is way too many, but it's supposed to start sometime this month, and I think that we're all based in America, so we only have like the maximum of like 4 hours time difference. Or is it 3? Is it 3 hours from West Coast to East Coast? You can also graft pine, cedar, and fir species. That's cool. You can mix fruit on the same tree. So let me show you the stone fruit, the 40 fruit stone fruit tree. Let me find the link to it. The tree of 40 fruit. So it's just you just graft, like you start with a base plant, and then you can take a branch from a different tree, and you can like cut the big tree and like stick the new branch on there and then wrap it up like with certain tape basically, and then you end up with a tree that like I don't know that I've seen. I would love to see if I could find a time lapse of it blooming through the year. Stone tree time lapse. I want to see it like fruiting over the course of the year. Cause okay, I don't want sound. Don't do sound. because even among stone fruits, like they mature at different times of the year. So you'll have a tree, like one tree, where parts of it are blooming and fruiting at different times of the year. So like if you were to time lapse it, certain parts of the tree would be emerging and falling back at different times. But because they share enough base genetics or whatever it is that they share, trees just also kind of naturally feed each other a bunch. And yeah, so it seems like they're pretty friendly to grafting. Since you're getting into archery, I think your IRL class is ranger. I don't think so. It's like as a necessary hunting skill, like everybody should have a bow for necessary hunting in a D&D setting. I remember seeing a Disney Channel special about grafting when I was a little kid and being absolutely blown away by how cool trees are. I know. Excuse me. My biggest beef with Circle of Spores was there wasn't anything about the mycelium networks as a feature in the game. Like, in order, like, to be able to speak with nature through the mycelium network would be really cool. It would be. I kind of view Circle of Spores druids as, like, almost like having a necromancer in the party. The reusable ammo aspect of archery is amazing. Yeah. So I was looking it up and I want to hunt sometimes. Like, I would like to hunt rabbits, for example. And I think that you can basically get a hunting license in the state of Kansas if you take the online only NRA test. I feel like I need to call someone and be like, hey, is this accurate? But then I would have to decide, oh, am I going to like give the NRA my legal name or should I just go ahead and do the in-person safety course? Becoming a Circle of Spores druid IRL by growing my own psilocybin mushrooms. True. Druid is already a very difficult class to play, and the subclasses can be both versatile and challenging. Well, I'm the only druid in the party, so I think that I'm gonna stick with it, even if it gets weird. What is a bow gun? Is that a crossbow? Growing mushrooms is a really easy thing to get into. I think it's interesting conceptually, the idea of growing mushrooms. Remember, there is an archery hunting season. I didn't see anything about that specified when I'm looking up stuff about Kansas, but maybe there is like a certain time of year that you're allowed to do archery. But I keep thinking any amount of like resources or energy that goes into growing mushrooms, I would be better off putting that resource into something else. Like if I were growing some other food. You should name your druid Andrew so that you can be an Andruid. His name is Rorum because Gloomarorum is like the Latin word for spore. So he's called Rorum. Yeah, I prefer bow to crossbow, if I'm gonna be honest. For medieval weapons, prefer the bow. There's just something so satisfying about it. Like, you can get a crossbow permit if you are deemed too weak to use a bow. Listen, my 20-pound bow is perfectly sufficient for hunting rabbits. Sufficient. I know. Oh, Sab Baphomet, you haven't been here for all the conversations we've been having lately about hunting rabbits. Do mushrooms and onions get along growing? I would bet that they don't. Onions are very caustic. Alliums grow really well together, but I don't think that alliums grow well next to other things at all. So if you think about it, the mushroom mycelium network is in the ground, and then if you're growing onions, then pungent, all that pungency of the onion is under the ground. So I don't think that mushrooms are good with onions. We keep bunnies. Tarpalicious, do you keep your bunnies sort of free ranging together or do you keep them in cages? What about white onions? I mean, that's, I was thinking of white onions. They have that pungency. They're in a pen. Okay. I recently learned that bunnies are interesting. Oh, it's indoors? Yeah. So I saw a guy who was keeping rabbits, and they actually, when they set up their rabbit pen, they dug out with an excavator down like 3 or 4 feet, and then they lined that part underneath with wire, like not chicken wire, but like some thick wire, and then they filled it back in, and then they built the structure on top so that the rabbits could burrow and create their own nests, but so that then they wouldn't be able to burrow out. I think that's really cool. But I learned that rabbits are disgusting. Their digestive process includes eating their poop. Like they do a double digestion. Too many neighborhood dogs for them to be outside. Fair enough. Yeah, onions don't like to compete with anything else. Green onions are more flexible. Good to know. Rabbits can be litter trained. I mean, I'm not too worried about it, and I just can't imagine giving up part of my indoor house to the rabbits. Like I would rather build a sturdy shed outside for them than have them in my house. Like that there needs to be I feel that there needs to be a separation, okay? If I'm planning on having like a homestead, which is basically what I'm like heading toward, um they I feel like your house needs to be your house. That's where you live. And then you go outside and then you go away from the house and that's where the animals are. Any morels yet? I think that they should be popping. I mean, well, they are popping throughout Kansas. I have seen plenty of pictures this year from lots of different counties. So I'm sure that there are some. The rabbits are more pets than anything for us. They're adorable. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I want distance from them so that when time comes to cull them, I'm not like, oh, this one's George. Holding multiple arrows in one hand and doing rapid fire. I that's all that's I just want to be good at shooting. Always be sure to give your mushrooms a good smack. The beatings will continue until morels improve. Indeed. I think that this month I'm supposed to get access to my community garden plot. So that's cool because my tomatoes are definitely getting too big for the situation that I have them in right now. And I'm like, but I don't want to buy, like, I don't want to have to transplant them indoors into a bigger container. Like, I might have to, though, because it's still like 3 or 4 weeks until you're supposed to start planting outdoors in Kansas. Yeah, I'm absolutely going to have chickens at some point. So that's my outdoors thing this year is I've got my archery stuff, so I'm gonna try to get the hunting license. I know all of the practical things about how to skin and quarter rabbits, and I feel pretty confident that I could do that. So I just gotta get the hunting license, and I'm gonna be doing community garden stuff. I'm thinking about doing like volunteering at a local garden as well. Like that I won't get to keep the produce for. I'll just be volunteering. I know, it's such a sad day when your tomatoes move out of the house. Growing up so fast. Good lord, yeah, I am tired. I might have to take a nap today. I almost took a nap yesterday. I was like, no, I don't want to take a nap. Ugh. I was like laying down. I was trying to keep my eyes open. Later, Tarplicious. 10 out of 10 wood chat again. Come back on Wednesday then. Wednesdays and Sundays. Have you considered trapping? I mean, I've thought about it, but I'm gonna be hunting on public land. I mean, like maybe if when I have my own land, I would occasionally trap rabbits or something. But aren't you on testosterone? How come you have no beard? My dad doesn't have a beard, so I don't really think any amount of testosterone is gonna give me a beard. Yeah, no traps on public lands. It's genetics, babes. It's genetics. If your dad doesn't have a beard, and also if your uncles and granddad on your mom's side don't have a beard, you're probably not gonna get. I have like some hairs on my chin, and I tweeze those out. Yeah, not even all AMABs can have beards. You ever feel bad? Just look at Philip DeFranco. He can't grow a beard to save his life. I had a dream last night where someone I know who has a beard shaved their beard, and I was like, shooketh. I was shooketh. T gave me a major neck beard. You haven't thought about Philip DeFranco in ages? Yeah, he's definitely still doing his news show. I stopped watching him during the lead up, or maybe during the very beginning of the Trump administration, because it got really annoying to me that he was still clinging so hard to that centrism, both sides nonsense. Not a fan of Phil after recently finding out he's allegedly a Zionist. I think a lot of people who don't know things about things are ostensibly like pro Israel because our society has done a really good job of gaslighting us into believing that like Israel is necessary for the safety of the global Jewish diaspora, and it's not. Like, but it's hard to educate people as well. And like the things that we've been seeing online that are happening in Palestine are like horrific, and most people are not able to process that. Yeah, it was like 2016 when I stopped watching Philip DeFranco. Phil. Oh yeah, I haven't watched him in years, so I don't know if he's got like his own friends that he doesn't call out to. But no, he's still out there trucking along, just doing his thing. Oh my god. Can't wait until this hair in the back is all long enough to actually go up in the ponytail and stay there. It's not quite long enough yet. Working on it though. So much hair. Like get in the ponytail. People who know what's going on and support Israel anyway, I have no clue how to reach them What do you do when the person you're arguing with just doesn't see all lives as equally valuable? Don't include them in your community organization plans, I guess. Yeah, it is crazy how people have been convinced that being anti Israel basically makes you a Nazi. Yeah, and then, like, that their actions, no matter how horrific they are, you can't ever compare them to the Nazis either. Ooh, the pot roast. I can start to smell the pot roast. I started it like about 2.5 hours ago. It's gonna be delicious. Pot roast. Pot roast. I love to eat delicious food. Delicious food. Okay, I don't need this tab open anymore. I feel like I've arrived in chat. I'm gonna go do yoga now. Nice. And clean my room. Do it. Time to chill in Minecraft. That time Dr. Mike was at a beach party with other doctors during the peak of the pandemic and wasn't wearing a mask. Well, Mike and Phil are great friends, and guess who stayed quiet about Mike going around maskless? Yeah, honestly, the COVID thing is such a huge gap between me and other people. I'm like, even some people I know personally are still like going to restaurants and stuff, and like, they know that I don't think that that's a good thing. So it's like, I just have to not be like, why the fuck are you doing that? Like, I don't even try to have the conversation with people most of the time. Like, I don't know what to do with the fact that like, people want to believe that things are normal. I'm sitting here listening to various YouTube channels, and people are like clearing their throat more often, they're coughing more often. You can hear it in people's voice when they're getting over being sick, but you can still hear it in their voice. Like, regularly, all the different content that I watch, and it's especially been within the last year or so, that it's like people are just getting sick regularly, and they just have symptoms regularly. I really almost want to make business cards that say, like, I kind of want there to be like a blank space where I can write in something, and then it'll say blank is a symptom, you should be wearing a mask or something like that. Because I'm like at the gym, and there's guys like coughing and clearing their throats, and I want to be like, dude, why are you not wearing a respirator? Like, people genuinely don't understand that having phlegm in your throat or having a cough, that is a symptom. I got shamed into not wearing a mask. It's awful in this town. They'll cough in your face deliberately. I mean, I would just start carrying pepper spray openly in my hand. You want to get close to me? Don't think so. Or I would cough. If I were wearing a mask and people were being disgusting or they were making faces at me, I would start coughing, because then that'll get them away from you. I'm a hermit until the risk is gone. Just isn't some of this pollen allergies? I mean, so we have a lower incidence of COVID right now, but anytime over the past 4 months, like, it's been winter, you know? There was an interview on the Majority Report with someone who studies pollution. And now, even though emissions curbing policies might be taking effect, the wildfires resulting from the damage already done is causing more airborne harm than direct emission pollution now. That makes my sense. Like, that makes sense, because it's going to keep getting more and more dry and hot. There was a wildfire in Kansas. It might still be going now, actually. So there's been a wildfire in Kansas going, and so we do controlled burns this time of year because that's how you do proper prairie maintenance. But yeah, there's like a wildfire. It's been going for days. So if if there wasn't already enough reason to wear a mask outside, like COVID and all these other airborne illnesses and allergies from pollen and city like smoke and smog and pollution. I'm a hermit who works and goes on occasional dates. No one wants to live in the backwoods with me. Too bad I keep dating city girls. Working at the VA, I noticed that nowadays the registration person asks, "Do you have any COVID symptoms?" Everyone always says no. I feel that they should be having a more detailed list of symptoms. Yeah, like ask, "Do you have a cough? Do you have a fever? Have you been feeling weak? Like, have you been sneezing or anything like that?" And then follow up, like if they say yes, or if they say, "Oh, it's just allergies," ask like, "Have you had seasonal allergies diagnosed by a medical professional? Or are you just assuming that?" I work in a very dust ridden environment, and even with a mask, I cough up dust rather more than I would like. Look into getting a respirator. Like, I know people who have a beard, but if you have a high quality respirator with a rubber mask, like, even with the beard, they take it off at the end of the day, and there's like all this dust like around their faces, and then a completely perfectly clean line. Some people seem to lie about not having the symptoms in case they need to take a flight. Yeah, I mean, people will take a COVID test and it will be positive, and then they will go. I have some friends who got sick recently because someone was assuming that they had allergies. So they had symptoms and they were just like, "Oh, I assume it's allergies." And then they got sicker and they got tested, and yeah, it's COVID. So then my friends got COVID. Just, they were supposed to be only seeing a couple of individual people at their home. And then another member of the family came by and got them sick. A lot of workplaces are not even allowing you to call out due to COVID anymore unless you have a fever. Yeah, thanks, CDC. Basically convincing employers that workers shouldn't stay home when they're actively contagious with a BSL-3 pathogen. I remember in July 2020 having a conversation with my mom wherein I was upset about the fact that they were reopening schools in August. She was fine with it, thought it was no big deal. Now she and nearly everyone I've had similar conversations with deny that that ever happened, not just about COVID, but about climate change, rising fascism, anti trans laws. I hate being ahead of the curve on stuff. It feels like an ironic curse from a monkey's paw. Like, yeah, people being like, "Oh no, I can't believe they opened schools," or whatever. Like, oh, you were supporting it. I'm grateful that I have a job that allows me to not be exposed to bullshit diseases all the time. I mean, like, yes, I chose my job partially so that, I mean, because I was like, where am I going to work that is going to allow me to take the appropriate COVID precautions? Answer, hardly any place is going to allow you to take appropriate precautions. So work from home. That's what I do. And it works to some extent. Are we going to see the majority of even uneducated people starting to understand what's going on? I don't know, man. Like, it seems like people are just adjusting to this new normal. Where we would assume, okay, so if you're sick all the time and each time you get sick, you're having a harder time getting over it, like would you not start to connect the dots at a certain point that you should be wearing a respirator? Or, if you know people who are getting seriously ill and can't go out anymore because of COVID, would you not start to become curious about the fact that, like, why is the CDC not, like why are people not doing something about this? Like, I think that people cling to the idea. that the powers that be are looking out for them in any capacity. You know, like I truly think that it would destroy some people temporarily. Like it would shake them to their core to actually grapple with the fact that the government views them as a resource and they don't care how many times you get sick. How many times can you get more sick and barely recover before you die versus how fast do you realize it's happening? Yeah, because it's that normalcy bias. And it's that, like, human beings are very adaptable in that way where, okay, even if happiness levels tend to stay fairly consistent for each person. Like, if you're a really unhappy person and then you win the lottery, you're going to stay an unhappy person. Or if you're a really happy person and then you receive a debilitating diagnosis, you might be temporarily upset by that bad circumstance, but then your happiness levels kind of balance back out, right? So I'm like watching YouTube videos where people are like, they're talking and then they're going like, and then they're just talking a little bit and they're like, and they're taking all these deep breaths. And I'm like, you sound like you're walking upstairs and you're just standing there talking, and they just seem totally normal. They're just having to take a lot more breaths. And it's like, they're just recalibrating I mean, what do you, like, your body is just doing something different now and you're just adjusting to it. The line, COVID will keep happening and a lot of people will die. It's inevitable. Can't stop living our lives. Yeah, it is. It's messed up that people are like, oh, whatever, some amount of death is inevitable. It's like, okay, well, how many of your family members are you willing to personally sacrifice? People are in denial oh, I have allergies, and then I visited grandma, and then she caught COVID and had to go to the hospital, and she died. Like, people are not able to grapple with the fact that they are directly responsible for people's deaths, potentially. My bosses in head office took the psycho pill and are now forcing everybody to come back into work. We used to be remote, and now people are constantly having to take sick days. It sucks. Jules says, with one patient, the lungs were full of clots. Many patients state, oh, it's the vaccine, but I heard cases of this way before the vaccine comes around. It's always so silly to me, too, that people are like, oh, the vaccine is causing these major blood clots and everything. And it's like, again, this particular vaccine, it causes your body to generate the spike protein, right? So it's a little bit different than just the regular broken down spike protein kind of virus or kind of vaccine. You can get that type. It's called Novavax if you want. But the idea that your exposure to a part of a virus could be anywhere near as harmful as coming in contact with the unmitigated virus, people are so fucking dumb. It's one of those things where I'm like, you're so dumb if you genuinely think that a vaccine is more dangerous than the full-fledged virus. And they're willful about it. I almost feel bad about calling these people dumb because, at the end of the day, they're just misinformed. But, like, after the information has been presented to you and you're still like, I refuse to look at it, you're being willfully stupid at that point. Awkward thing for me. What's up, Wayward Oak? Welcome to the website. That's a great name, Wayward Oak. I've had allergy symptoms my entire life, presumably allergic to dust or something. Treatment helps, but the post-nasal drip never really goes away. Sure, me too. Like, I have a sore throat all year. Like, all year, I have a mildly sore throat from allergies, presumably. Or maybe, honestly, it might be a posture thing. If I just do, like, neck and tongue stretches, I might have less of a sore throat. We'll see. But, yeah. I was a nerd who tracked my workouts before and after I got COVID in 2022, so I know how much it took out of me. I'm about 90% better now, but still my pace is doing cardio. Haven't 100% recovered yet. No desire to stack another. Yeah, like, after like all the negative impact that it has, it's crazy to me. Like, knowing someone who was coughing up blood after one of their COVID infections, who I now see out at bars taking pictures with their boyfriend. I'm like, what are you doing? They were discovering blood clots in COVID patients almost a year before any vax was rolled out. Shh, listen. Shh. They don't like facts, okay? What's up, Norm? You? Jason Jones says, I started something that may take root with my mother and older brother. Both of them remember the Cold War and the duck and cover bullshit, so I asked them why Trump wants to ally us with Russia and China. I hope that helps crack them. I hope it does. I do not understand the logic of these bosses forcing people to come back to offices instead of working from home. What are they so afraid of? What they are afraid of is not being in control. Like, make no mistake, the religion of professionalism, as it were, where you're required to come into the office and observe certain rituals, you're required to wear certain regalia. Yeah, you missed a COVID discussion. I mean, we're not entirely done with it yet. But like the bosses, I mean, ultimately, the middle management are some of the people who are most in support of returning to the office because they have no justification for their job if you're working from home and still getting your job done. They have to justify their own existence by making you come into the office. And a bunch of these companies, of course, they own all of this real estate, or they're paying rent on the real estate. So the entire market of commercial buildings could, like, who the fuck knows what would happen if they sold all of those, or like, I don't know. Personally, I currently accept the risk of going to places like restaurants, but if I have any mild cold symptoms, I stay home. The thing about it, Lava Monster, is that 23 or 24% of all COVID cases are asymptomatic. That's one part of it. Another part of it is that you can be contagious before developing symptoms. So there's asymptomatic cases, which is 1/4 of all infections. 1/4 of all infections. You've got that. And then you've also got, the pre-symptomatic, which means that you will have symptoms, but you don't know yet, and you are sick, and you are spreading it. So with those two things, fully 61% of COVID transmission right now is asymptomatic. So more than half of all COVID transmission is people like you out there going to restaurants, not knowing whether you're sick. It's like, that's the craziest thing to me that people seem to have forgotten in the last 4 years, is that you can be spreading it and not know that you're sick. And also, even if you have a completely asymptomatic case, every time you catch it, you are at a higher risk for more complications. And if 1 in every 10 infections results in long-term illness or disability of some kind, then if you catch COVID twice a year, within the next 5 years, you are almost guaranteed to have at least one long-term complication. Whether that's permanent or whether it's just a few months, you don't know. And every time you get sick, it's more likely. Like, that chance goes up every time you get sick. So, like, I personally, here's my justification. It's not even that I don't want to die, although I don't want to die. I'm already disabled, y'all. I can't afford to not be able to work more than I already am not able to work. Like, I like basically have a part-time job, not as far as the hours go, but as far as the income goes. And then I also do like a part-time job's worth of housework. And there are days where I fall behind on that stuff and I can't get stuff done and I feel shitty. And that's just from the illnesses that I already have. Yeah, assuming we all live long enough, long COVID will be the lead poisoning of our generation. It hasn't even been 5 years yet. We don't know what the 5-year survivability of this disease is yet. And that's like, normally when you calculate that, that's the 5-year survival rate of one infection. Like, if you catch polio once, What's the 5-year life expectancy? You know, we don't have that information yet because it hasn't yet been 5 years. Thank you, Duke Bonanza, for the $10 dono. It's going to take a minute for it to pop up on the screen. It's just kind of slow. I've had situations at my job where an assistant store manager was visibly ill and in pain, but wouldn't leave due to pressures from upper management. That person ended up in the hospital. It's the culture. All this pressure, all this, ooh, you're going to lose your job if you take time off work. If you call in sick one more time, you're going to lose your job. Or like, kids going to school, parents sending their kids to school despite their obvious symptoms because either they can't get time off work or, oh, if my kid has one more unexcused absence or even an excused absence, there's potentially going to be a police investigation in our home. So I'm just going to keep sending my kids to school sick. What's a philosopher's lover? Trump media saved in 2022 by Russian American under criminal investigation. Hey, if there's something that you can convince old people with, take it. We were already on our way toward anti-vax rhetoric and stuff before COVID, for sure. My work literally doesn't accept doctor's notes. Like, what? Why? That's so dumb. I have a coworker who's disabled and therefore has to call out of work a lot, and people are horrible about it, constantly implying she is lazy. It really makes me lose respect for my coworkers. Yeah, I mean, that it's so frustrating to me, but I mean, I have a disability, so like I can tell you like all those days that that person is showing up to work, they also probably feel like shit. It's just that like so a disabled person who's at work, like I've decided I'm going to work today, that person is probably having symptoms that would cause most people to call out sick. So like I'm coming to work feeling like feeling like I should call out sick, but I have to ration that. Only the days where I genuinely can't do something. Like only the days where I'm in so much pain that I can't go to work or I'm so sick that I can't get out of bed. Yeah, and yeah, of course disabled people are calling out sick more. And I really wish that there was more of a view of like that, like how many days has that person showed up to work? And like how much credit are they getting for how hard that must be? Because it's like, okay, I earned my sick time. I worked and I earned my sick time. At least I'm not like getting benefits because everybody hates that so much. One time years ago at work, I was sick to the point of being bedridden. I did get a doctor's note, but because it happened to fall on my birthday, they did not believe me and I got written up. I would have quit the hell out of that job. I would have quit that job. Like, first of all, I deserve to have my birthday off in the first place. Second of all, fuck you guys. If everybody is sick, productivity goes down way more than if just one person is sick. I wish managers understood this. Like, you know that your customers, if they get sick, are not going to come in and spend money, right? Like, I don't think people understand. Management wants you to literally come to work till you drop dead on the workroom floor. It seems that they would prefer that. Ramya says, could the old people who were infected by COVID have higher chances of dying from heart attacks or heart failures? Could that be connected? Um, I'm not sure which age group is dying the most often right now. I know that the group that is most impacted by long COVID is like that, um, like age is like 29 to 44 or something like that. I'm not sure, but it makes sense. Like, heart failure for sure. If you're old and your heart is already like whatever, it's just old, and then you have COVID, which causes heart failure. Yeah, like it makes sense that you would know several older people who got infected and survived, and then later they died of heart issues. I wonder how many, I wonder honestly how many heart attacks and strokes are not being counted as COVID related deaths. I wonder that a lot. Like how people keep saying, oh, these overinflated numbers. I say 1,000 people are dying per week from COVID, and they're like, well, are they dying of COVID or with COVID? It's like, it's the fucking opposite way around, dude. How many people are dying of a COVID related complication, but it's like 3 years later, and so nobody's considering that a COVID related death. Old people getting infected with COVID. Did you know that long COVID often manifests as cognitive decline? No. It's a neurodegenerative disorder? What? There's just so many things. I've also seen that COVID can cause telomere damage, which means like the telomeres at the end of your chromosomes, the things that are like responsible for your cells regenerating themselves, like they just stop working as good, which means that you will like age 10 years faster. My internet connection. Fuck Lux's stream in particular. This is why tracking excess deaths could get a better estimate of actual casualties. If you count all the deaths and assume any increase in the last 2 years is probably COVID related, that might be an indication. Yeah, that makes sense. Because, yeah, if it's like, okay, how many heart attacks did we expect this year? Did we get more heart attacks than we were expecting this year? The maternal mortality rate has increased. I wonder if the infant mortality rate has increased at all. That's something I'm curious about. Infant mortality rate over time. Or like stillbirths. Like those are the kinds of things that I'm curious about. Like pregnant people losing their babies. Oh, like last 5 years. Rate last 5 years. Hey, Love Monster, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Name turned white, gotta change that. Salute you. Apparently, OBGYNs are observing COVID-affected pregnancies result in a crunchy or calcified placenta. Yeah, because it causes blood tissue damage. Like the blood vessels, yeah, like so the placentas are like shrunken and the blood vessels are all fucked up. True. I'm sorry, I forgot. If an old person, fat person, or disabled person dies from COVID, it doesn't count. They should simply have dieted and exercised. Okay, the infant mortality rate has declined over the past few years. Okay, what about the rate of stillbirths in USA last 5 years? Okay, this data only goes up to 2020. Yeah, would you like your placenta crunchy or smooth? I caught COVID again recently and had a seizure at work. I had it in September last year and lost 60 pounds in about a month. COVID and depression turned out to be the best diet ever. Yeah, I have also heard that COVID can cause lipid atrophy, lipoatrophy. Like it can basically just cause your fat to waste away off your body. Placenta sushi? Oh no. I mean, I guess I've never really considered how a placenta would taste. I know that some people eat them. Look, I know that that's a policy thing that some people do. To me, the thing that scares me more than COVID is the fact that another novel coronavirus epidemic in the next 20 years is very, very likely. Our immune systems will be totally unprepared and the anti vax sentiment will max out from day one. Well, I, as morbid as it is, I kind of feel like, you know, it makes me feel a little bit better knowing that I know enough to keep myself alive and that so many people are so willfully dumb about these things that they're like gonna get themselves killed. You know, like climate change. When people are like, I don't think climate change is real, I'm internally just like, I don't need to think about you anymore because you're gonna die. Like, that's I'm just like, these people who are super anti-vax. If there's another coronavirus in the next 20 years, and like, obviously with it getting warmer, viruses are surviving outside of hosts for longer, et cetera, et cetera. Um, yeah, if someone out there is like, I I'm not gonna get the vaccine, like, oh, you can't make me do it. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm just gonna close the part of my brain that considered that you exist at all. Yeah, the clot shot. Very occasionally I'll respond to one of those people, but for the most part, I like block them and I go, okay, that person is gonna die in the future, like, of something that they could have avoided. And I am going to avoid that thing because I make better decisions. So I guess to some degree, learning that the population, if we stay on this path, learning that the population is going to drop down to 2 billion before the end of this century really made me feel a lot better about how difficult I find it mentally. The whole, like, how do you live with these bigoted people? How do you live with these science denying people? Like, you won't have to for much longer. So I don't know if that helps anybody else feel better. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of good people are also going to die. That's the unfortunate thing. Like, 5 billion people can't all be violently retarded anti-vax climate change deniers. You know what I mean? Like, so there are going to be, unfortunately, a lot of mostly brown and poor people who get caught up in that as well. Global warming is fake. Being too scared to face it is so much more real. What's up, non-aesthetic witch? Oh, that's a great name. Someone I know just started like a witchy Discord server and added a bunch of people, and I'm like, ooh, that has encouraged me to get into my witchiness a little bit more. It's like, it's a little bit of a communal activity. I don't have the spiritual beliefs, but oh, some people in chat learning that I use slurs sometimes. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. New people. I had a coworker complain. Oh no. I had a coworker complaining about how there's so many natural disasters these days, and then they deny climate change in the next breath. So dumb. The witch stuff confuses me. How so? I enjoy. It wasn't nice of you to call your bow recurve earlier. I know, that's their word. If you're outside the community, you call it a bend back, okay? God. Good vibes your way in your witchy adventure. Yeah, I'm an atheist witch. Yeah. But yeah, so there's like a tarot and divination chat in there. And so I got out my tarot deck for the first time in a while. Shout out to my friend Silent, who got this for me as a birthday present. I hadn't gotten this tarot deck out in like a year, maybe, at least not 6 months since I moved. And I pulled it out and I did 3 readings, and all 3 of those readings in a row, this deck was like, you're stubborn and all your efforts are in vain and you have a difficult decision you have to make. And I was like, girl, why are you so sassy right now? It just really came across like the deck is mad at me for not using it for like a year. Doesn't seem like a coherent set of stuff, I guess. I mean, my practice is like nature based and has to do with paying attention to what is physically happening in the world around you. So it's like coherent in that sense. And to be clear, like when I say witchy stuff, I'm not talking about Wicca. I'm not talking about any of the actual, I believe in like ritual changing the world around me. I think if you do rituals, it has a psychological effect on you and anybody you do it with. Um, but like for me, it's all about paying attention to the sun and honoring like the cycle of life as the earth, like every year it breathes in the summer and opens up, and then it breathes out in the fall and like closes down for the year. Yeah, Hurricane Ian. Oh boy, this pot roast is smelling good, y'all. Yeah, hyperbolic. First of all, again, your name is great. Is it? Are you supposed to be? Is it referencing the hyperbolic time chamber? Anyway, if you're gonna decide to be a dense spiritual person, you gotta at least decide that this period of your life won't be fact based but fun based. As soon as a conspiracy arose, I always split. Yeah, personally, I do not believe in like any of the spiritual supernatural stuff. To me, spirituality is like a term that describes the emotional sense of overwhelm that you get when you think about the connected nature of all living things. So in that context, like I guess you would say that I am somewhat spiritual, but I don't believe in any of the weird stuff. Yeah, that was 12 hours of hearing the shingles coming off of my roof. Oh, the anxiety. Fables, folklore, symbolism, rituals, all these things can have value even to atheists. Also, meditation is the bomb. Meditation for me is more of like yeah, it's more of a psychological tool that I use for therapy reasons, but yeah, like if you just go outside and you exist with nature, that's a type of meditation even if you're not doing a whole internal meditation thing. I'm too ADHD to meditate. Listen, the cool thing about it is that there's so many different ways of doing it. Even just focusing your mind and your attention on something happening physically in your space is a type of meditation. And the point of meditation is to notice that your attention is off and redirect your attention. So every time your mind wanders, you have another opportunity to practice the point of it, which is focusing your attention on the one thing. I'm English, and growing up outside of Christianity, the witch stuff was like broad myth and culture for me. So I guess it's kind of odd for me seeing folks over here latch onto that and find more meaning in it. So I think that part of it is that in America, yes, we did reach the dono goal. Do you need more arms? You require more arms. Um, but yeah, so white people in America, particularly, we have an extreme disconnect from any of our cultural backgrounds. So, like, if you grow up in the UK or if you grow up in Ireland, there's like, you probably grow up with fae myths that are like, oh, be careful around those fairy rings, or oh, go leave an offering outside, whatever. Like those folk myths, you might have just grown up with it. But in America, like, white culture in America is fucking Marvel and white supremacy and fucking NASCAR races, you know what I mean? And like Chiefs games. So the sports of it all, we don't have strong traditionalist background. So I think for me, part of it is getting in touch with nature more. And like I honestly think that if you grow up in England, you have access to more countryside than a lot of Americans do. Like if you live in the city in America, you're not necessarily going to be seeing very much countryside. And like you're not going to be necessarily in touch with, oh, the ewes are all giving birth this time of year. Um like just population wise, I'm not sure. Aren't buildings nature to an extent? They are rocks. Um, I guess it's the question of like, at what point can you stop metal bending? um, but like as far as having traditions that moor us back in time. Okay, forested areas is not what I said. I said countryside. Um, but like, yeah, I think that Americans are seeking some kind of connection to our ancestors as well as a connection to the land and nature because that has been so thoroughly ruined in America. Like there's such a disconnect between the way that most Americans live their lives versus having any kind of connection with the outside world. Like we don't grow up with cool like a cultural tradition of nature appreciation, I guess. Or yeah, like and I know that I know like German culture for sure. They do still have a lot of this. Like even people who aren't pagan actively are still like, oh yeah, I leave an offering at this time of year for the fae. There's a monk on YouTube who said that when he loses focus, he smiles, but only in his mind. And once I put that together, it really helped me out. Speaking as someone else with ADHD, hope it helps them. That's a good one. I can bend metal with a crowbar and throw fire with gasoline. I would have been a witch in the wrong time. Leaving a little something for the Fae is a good way to be mindful of your selfish and selfless instincts. Just leave a little offering outside. Just leave a little old something. Oh man. A lot of American outdoorsy stuff is also very consumptive still. I try to catch myself trying to collect experiences versus just going out and connecting with my surroundings. It's a hard thing to unlearn. Yeah, everywhere you go in America, you're expected to buy something, you're paying a fee. Even camping, you have to pay camping fees anywhere you go. Francis in the YouTube chat says, I'm in Cork City, Ireland. 10 minutes drive from here, you have twisty roads, no internet, and fields with hares, foxes, and lots of birds. England has right to roam. Yeah, like certain land, you're supposed to be like have the right to travel through it, and America is all privately sectioned off. Or you go to like specific public lands where you're allowed to be. Yeah, paying a fee to visit nature. Hanging out in Vegas right now doing nothing for the day because I didn't get paid and therefore cannot afford to do anything. Just gonna sit there, chilling. I can't believe that you flew all the way out and then they were like, oh, we don't have any work for you. That's crazy. I heard of places that were charging viewing fees for the eclipse. It's like, holy cow. I'm just gonna climb on the roof of your building. Yeah, imagine having to pay to look up at the sky. In order to exist in a physical location, you have to pay me. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Camping fees only apply when they know you're there. Yeah, but then you could get in legal trouble. Like, either pay to be here or we will pursue you legally. Those are the options. Last tiny bit of milk from earlier. Delicious. Ooh, hey, 99 likes. The polarized glasses don't work with your glasses. Oh, the gig got canceled. Okay, I see. For a specific reason. That makes sense. I truly agree. I agree with you, Lava Monster. The only reason capitalism hasn't yet privatized and monetized the air we breathe is that they haven't figured out how to do it. The more it's genuinely, what is that? That's a Spaceballs joke, isn't it? They sell canned fresh air in China. Holy shit. Cattle fields have rules in the UK that are like, you are allowed to walk through no matter what, so long as you don't bother the cows. Are you gonna get your money back if it's cloudy? Yeah, I'm gonna get a reservation for my spot to view the eclipse. If it's cloudy, do I get my money back? Probably not. Cows can be scary in groups. I think any large animal is gonna be scary in a group. Even one cow. If a cow decided to like knock you over and then sit on you, they weigh like thousands of pounds. What are you gonna do? Get crushed, noob, apparently. Also geese. I love the idea of having geese. Like, that really amuses me. First line of defense on the homestead. Excuse me. Oh my god. Gotta drink the water. Gorge. Cows are awesome. Their chill factor is so high, and I love it. They are very chill. I have been licked by a cow before. Geese are aggressive. I know. That's why they're on the pond, away from the house. I just want them to, I just want them to scare off any dogs or cats that come nearby. Like, before my dogs even have to get up, the geese are out there like, mah, mah, mah. It's been a good conversation today, y'all. It's been a good, chill conversation today. Now I can hear the pot roast. I was very salty about the cow licking me, it's true. All of our fields in the countryside have stiles between the fields, so you can just step up and over the fences. Yeah. In America, not so lucky. I mean, you know, I'm sure you've seen the memes that are like, um, how can you, like, oh, people are like, oh, the kids never go outside these days, and then you take a look outside, and it's one of those horrible stroads that is just lined with like McDonald's and other crap. Oh yeah, you just this is just it's like a gate, but it's closed, and then it just has little steps so you can step over the fence. Imagine having free access to just walk around outside. Embroidery, ooh, that's always fun. I like embroidery. Haven't done it myself in a long time. Yeah, meanwhile in America, the cattle ranches are lined with signs warning that you might get shot if you cross the fence. I'm gonna make a homebrew D&D monster called a Strode. It's gonna be a really annoying piece of shit. Stillbirths tab still open. I feel a little lucky living in metro Atlanta. Outside the Strodes, everything is surrounded by trees because the city was built inside a forest. That's pretty nice. Yeah, the Second Amendment for sure discourages country exploration. Everybody has guns in the country. The world is worlding. Well, yeah, what if someone walking through your field just picks up a cow and walks off with them? Even a baby cow is like 100 pounds. You know, it would be a hell of a. And then if you're carrying off a baby cow, you've got angry mom. I will still say though, rural England and Wales feel so mystical to Americans because it's all like mossy stone that's been there literally 1,000 years. I mean, you're not wrong. There is very little land in America that hasn't been changed significantly. Like we have, you know, every once in a while, oh, here's a patch of prairie that no one has dug up or changed or whatever, but not very much. But comparatively, rural America feels mystical to me. I get it's like it's I don't know, it's all so new. I like big swaths of thick woodland. We don't have the space for that. Sure, yeah, like in the mountains, we've got some thick woodland. And that is mystical. I don't disagree with you. I went exploring while visiting Ireland and I fell into a bog twice. It felt like a fey christening. You know, if you had fallen into a bog the third time, I think they would have claimed you. Just rubbing my back a little bit. Different places hurt now. Still, the main place hurts, but I've been very still, so. A lot of people also don't seem to get that a lot of English folklore is still Christianity adjacent. Yeah, yeah, I don't doubt that. I would say that my version of paganism or whatever, like the conglomeration of things that I'm stitching together, it's like I think a lot of it is Germanic, frankly. So basically anywhere in that Western Europe area. Like I imagine what kind of things would farmers have cared about? They care about the sun. They care about how long the day is. They care about when the animals are born, or they care about like Samhain, Halloween is like a holiday. It's the third harvest festival, and it's the third harvest festival because you slaughter all the animals that you're not planning on keeping through the winter. Because like all the animals that you have through the winter, you have to feed them. So yeah, people would like kill some of their animals off. So it's the red harvest, and like those are the kind of things that I'm thinking about. America celebrates a building being 100 years old, and places like England have stuff that's been there for thousands of years. Definitely. There's it's really cool that there's like old castles and stuff. Living out near rural areas, it's a way different vibe than the cities. City life hurt my mental health, I think, because of overstimulation. There's so much going on all the time. The animals will rise up one day. Listen, if I ever have enough land and a lot of money that I don't need, I'm going to raise cats. And I'm going to have one group of cats that I raise and I select for intelligence. And then I'm going to have another group of cats that all have polydactyl hands. And then I'm going to keep breeding them until they have like the muscles required to move their thumbs. And then I'm going to breed those two groups together. You can't raise cats, only have more owners. Cat eugenics. It would be cat eugenics. It's true. I'd have a lot of additional furs. The one thing that sucks about hunting rabbits in the summer is that there's like no point to keeping their pelts, I don't think. I don't know, man. Like, there's a reason why we do fur trapping in the wintertime, and it's because there's like fur. Their fur is thicker. What is the point of keeping summer hides? Mama. Don't you need to become reliant on protein, especially taurine for cats? I don't know, man. Need more places like the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch. I saw some accusations against them about a year ago. Um, and like I've been following someone who lives there at the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch. That's the one in Nevada, right? Um, and the way that she responded and downplayed the allegations, I was like, meh. Like, okay, you have ostensibly a trans compound where they like grow llamas and stuff, right? Um, they crowdfund for the supplies. So it's like, are you not making money selling the fur from the llamas, like or alpacas? You're supposed to be making money. And then I also would see that like this person who I followed on Twitter, like she was living there but not working, and she would like crowdfund to fly to the UK to see a partner. And it's like there were some dubious things financially happening at Tenacious Unicorn Ranch. Additionally, there were some people who accused them of basically being like very ill equipped to do the thing that they were trying to do, which is they're trying to be like a safe haven for trans people to come. But they apparently were not acting in a way that was very trauma informed. So, okay, you're bringing people onto your land. There is inherently a power dynamic there. Oh, it's in Colorado. Like, you're trying to be a safe place for trans people who are traumatized potentially in a rural environment where people are threatening you and yours by driving by with their guns. Yeah, so it's been a while since I read in depth about it, but I can believe that there were the issues that there were. Because, like, you're always going to be a landlord dynamic. This is why I don't want to have a commune. I want to own my land. And if someone else owns land near me and we have a mutually supportive relationship, cool. But I'm not going to do this whole collective ownership thing. I'm not going to do this whole, like, rent landowner thing. Like, I don't know if there is any way to do that without there inherently being a dynamic. Communes work great if you don't have people in them. True. Excuse me. You keep hides to craft leather armor to sell for gold. Yeah, I guess you could still scrape off the fur and, like, use the skin for leather. Like, I don't know how to responsibly do the kind of community work that needs to happen. How to be a good landowner, don't get rich off of it. Yeah. I just don't know that there's many situations where like I'm not willing to give up power over my land. Like I would much rather just be I'm doing my own thing here in my place. Like so long as we have the concept of land ownership, I'm going to make the decisions about where the greenhouse is going. I don't want to like leave that up to a democratic vote. Obviously my partner has an opinion and gets to tell me like, okay, I think that this would be better here or there. But I don't want to have like I don't want to put everything up to a vote, and I don't want people to feel like, "Oh, Lux is making all these decisions without even consulting us." Cuz like, yeah, I'm making all these decisions without consulting you. It's my land. You know what I mean? Like I just don't want to have that situation at all. Vosh was talking about how we can have free housing, but maybe I missed how we can. Stop charging for it. I mean, it's pretty much the easy thing to do. We do need to build more though. I was Hank Green was like studying it a little bit lately because there's this claim that we have more than enough empty housing that we could just immediately house all these homeless people. While we do have some empty housing, a a nation with an economy like ours needs to have a certain amount of vacant housing so that people can move from place to place. And also, a lot of the housing that is counted as vacant is like vacant for a month or two between one tenant moving out and another tenant moving in, you know? Like, so it wouldn't be feasible for us to house homeless people in units that are only available for a month at a time. And then, oh, now you have to move to another one. And then, they can't replace the carpets while that person is living there. So, like, in order to sustain our current population, we would need to build more housing. But yes, we do have more than enough parking lots. What about all those commercial buildings where these companies who are still doing remote work, like what is up with those empty buildings? Can we turn those into residential? Yeah, take away police funding and pay for buildings instead. Yeah, imagine what would happen if we took the amount of overtime, let's just say the amount of overtime that cops spend harassing homeless people or writing up the paperwork for their harassment of homeless people. If we just took that overtime income and converted it and like stopped paying cops and instead we put it toward housing, amazing. Who knows? Who knows what we could do if we decided to do good things? I feel like as a society, we'd benefit from having some form of medium term housing, somewhere in between signing a year lease for an apartment and a hotel. I mean, I think that that's sort of the gap that Airbnbs were supposed to fill, but some hotels you can do a month by month thing, or at least at some rentals you can do a month by month lease. But I feel like that's really unstable. Like, I would not want to feel like, oh, literally any time my landlord could say, I'm not renewing your lease this month. And then I have fucking 3 weeks to find an apartment. That would make me so anxious. But maybe more 6 month leases. I could see that making sense. Ugh. Lots of fun today. So much fun meandering through conversations. We've touched on so many topics, but none of this is going to be editable for stream. That's fine. Yeah, of course. It's difficult to have a nuanced discussion about autonomous collective living in the comments of a video or during a live stream. And I don't even want to claim that I have all the answers. Like, I know that I'm coming from a capitalistic world and that I have those beliefs, and like that my whole I want to own my land thing is an assertion of like colonial legacy to an extent, right? And at the same time, like, so we have to be able to imagine a new type of world through the lens. Like, we're gonna have to like we can't ever fully remove the lens of the world we grew up in. We can just try really hard to make it a clean lens. Second channel content, I mean, none of it was structured enough. Second channel, I don't even know what specifically. Like, the vlog content is going to start soon as we get closer to the planting season. And then maybe hunting and archery stuff. I keep dismantling and corrupting my lenses. I don't know what's what anymore. I think we need more funds for hospital stuff, especially last week there was not enough room for the babies. Our medical system is going to get taxed and taxed and taxed until it kind of collapses. Later, Lord Byron. It's going to be a weird time. We're going to live through a weird period of time. The Vosh solution sounds like the best. Housing should be a utility managed and paid for by the state. Like, why are individuals able to own 10 houses? Why are corporations allowed to own hundreds of apartment units? It seems like there should be some basic checks and balances on how much stuff you can own. My house, if I was a cat, literally just a box. I wish that I could be content like a cat is when it's inside a box. I want to be that happy about anything in my life. I'm working on it. I'm just so stressed, y'all. If you start managing the stress, hopefully, like, a lot of the other things will come. So it's like, once I know, okay, for sure, I'm gonna live in this place, and, you know, now I can just start working toward further stability. But it's like, I still live in Kansas right now. So I still have this sense that's like, ooh, I hope nobody bothers me if I go out in public. Like, ooh, I hope I don't have to use the public restroom, like, while I'm out in public. I love that meme where a witch turns you into a frog and you finally know peace as you just sit on a lily pad and eat bugs. Yeah, and she's in the background like, no, you can't be enjoying yourself. And he's just like, I'm a frog now. I very much need to manage my stress as well. Yeah, not getting on my phone first thing in the morning is so hard not to do it. It's so hard not to do it, but I think it fucks up my whole morning. Like, I think it messes up it puts my whole day on the wrong track. But I'm like, I have not figured out a suitable replacement because it's like this, it's all this dopamine seeking. Like, do I need to just not consume any information in the morning? Do I need to just let my brain be empty? I don't know what I don't know what it is. I hate my phone. First thing I do in the morning is stand up and turn on my PC. I usually stay in bed for like at least 20 minutes, just like on my phone in the morning. Or then I go to the bathroom and then I'm sat on my phone in the bathroom. It's not good for you. The exponential increase in complications from lack of healthcare is spiraling into an advent horizon of a national crisis. I mean, like a global crisis, though, isn't it? You know? Make coffee and take a shower. I wish I was a morning shower person. I did try for a little bit. I think I just spend way too much time. Like, showers for me always take longer than I anticipate them taking. I don't check my phone until after I've showered and eaten breakfast. Hard boundary for me. I had to stop using my phone in the morning because I started getting panic attacks. We're so trained to consume and consume that it makes us sick. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah. I know that it's not a good way for my brain to start the day. And I just don't have good boundaries. Do I need to get like, I think I might need to do the thing where you get a regular alarm clock And then you have a regular alarm clock and you keep your phone charging on the opposite side of the room. I'm a shower after exercise person. Yeah. What I try to do is if I'm working out 4 times a week, then I shower twice a week. For a little bit I was doing like a rinse shower on the other days, but it's still so much time. Yeah, drying my hair. Try a radio or something in the morning. Maybe. I don't know. Hyperbolic. Are you a caveman? Caveman? Ugh, gosh. I wake up, do stretches, and then turn on devices. This past couple days, I have started stretching in the morning. Cause yeah, it's like if my jaw and back are gonna hurt, then I need to be doing regular stretching. Trying to establish good habits, no matter what the good habits are, is always tricky. Like, there's always different variables to consider. There's always a million different options. I'm gonna hire a medieval torturer to put me on the rack and stretch me every morning. Yeah, just pop those vertebrae. Sexy. 71 viewers for us just shooting the shit. Isn't that lovely? 105 likes. Having a buzz cut makes showering so fast. Yeah, me showering right now also usually includes like some I didn't do this extra routine yesterday, which is why my hair looks so crazy right now, but my routine now includes like a whole curly hair routine after my shower. Right now it's like kind of more poofy than anything. The trick is to master the skill of ignoring your devices. I actually usually have my phone on do not disturb mode. It's not currently on do not disturb mode because I am expecting some phone calls, but yeah, I don't like having my phone make any noise. Do not disturb mode. Oh gosh, well y'all, I feel like we've been meandering through conversation for a few hours. I'm sure I could meander for another hour. But I also should maybe see if I can get a hold of my doctor today to decide whether something is wrong with my back. So I'm going to bid you adieu for today, and I will plan to see you all on Wednesday. Yeah, I don't like having to be accessible 24/7. I do not like responding to messages all day long. Yeah. So thank you everybody for chilling and hanging out with us today. Thank you everybody who donated and hit the like button. All your participation in chat is great. It makes the show what it is. So appreciate you. And yeah, look forward to continued daily uploads on the channel, etc., etc. And I'll see you all on Wednesday, okay? Be good.